So, Ryan, thank you so much for chatting with me about why you are also Arkansas and why you call Arkansas home. Let's just go ahead and dive in. Ryan, why do you live in Arkansas?
So, for as a practical thing, I live in Arkansas because my people live in Arkansas. My family is from Arkansas, and so um, so I'm just not foreign to Arkansas. So there's that. But recognizing that I like most folks could also have chosen to live somewhere else. Live in Arkansas because I love Arkansas. You know, I like Arkansas. I don't like having to explain everything about Arkansas to people not from Arkansas all the time.
Mm.
Well, let me rephrase that. I actually enjoy that. There's a certain level of comeuppance in being able to beautify Arkansas to people who don't know any better.
What are some of the things you have to explain about Arkansas to people?
Uh, um, I mean, I think maybe this is consistent with most places in the South, but maybe even more so places like Arkansas. Just the idea that this is all kind of a backwater water full of backward people and
Mm.
backward ways and stuff like that.
Those misconceptions about some southern areas for sure.
Yeah,
Did you grow up in Arkansas?
I did.
Okay, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Little Rock.
Oh, very cool.
Grew up in Little Rock, and if I might add, because I spent a significant amount of time in Pine Bluff, where my mom's
Mm.
family is from,
Mhm.
and in Crittenden County, specifically Earl, Arkansas,
Mhm.
where my dad's family is from. So,
Okay.
uh, spent some summers really in between both of those places. Holidays, weekends, stuff like that. So,
And that's the eastern side of the state, right?
yes.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Any favorite memories of growing up in Arkansas? What were some of the things that really, when you think back about your youth growing up in Little Rock and summers in Crittenden and Earl, any favorite takeaways?
Yep. My brothers and I, cousins and I, we walked a lot or we biked a lot. So just the level of independence. I think about it now. I mean, I had to be, even in second, third grade, we would ride our bike, a couple miles away to the park
Mhm.
and, going to see baseball games. And I feel like I sound like a 90-year-old when I say this, but I was telling my daughter once that my dad used to give us $1 to go to the baseball game. And even with that dollar, you could still get a hot dog and a soda. 50 cent
Wow.
hot dog and 50-cent soda. And now my brothers, they were into candy. I was a little greedier than them. I was looking forward to a hot dog and a soda. They would get like Skittles or something like that or whatever. But so yeah, a lot of bike riding, um, um, a lot of pulling off of the plum trees of people who did not know we were still in their plums, and
Okay.
um, you know, um, berry picking. And
Mm.
I mean, I know it sounds real country corn poem, but I mean, it really is what it is. I mean, I know
Mm.
I remember in Pine Bluff spending a significant amount of time shoeless,
Yeah.
uh, playing outside with no shoes on, and
Yeah.
just really being outside and enjoying a lot of outside space.
Hmm.
There was this big area, and it might have been about the size of half a football field. It was the only empty part of a cemetery, and me and my cousins and neighborhood kids on the north side of Pine Bluff used to play football or kickball in that empty part of the cemetery. It seems somehow wrong now, but I mean, we had fun.
Open
Open
space, right?
space, yeah,
You gotta
yeah,
find the open space where it
yeah,
exists. I used
yeah.
to
And
play a lot of kickball too. Yeah,
oh yeah. Now I was saying my grandparents lived close to on the north side of Pine Bluff, close to the UAPB campus. I mean, we spent
mm,
a lot of time playing on campus. Especially in the summertime when there's nobody around. I mean, just kind of
yeah,
play.
very
A lot of
cool.
play, a lot of spaces to walk.
Yeah. I grew up in East Tennessee and I was also shoeless often and outside a lot.
Yeah.
Just being in nature. So you've had opportunities to go elsewhere, right? And it sounds like your people are here, your family is here. Have you ever considered leaving?
Yeah, I mean, I went to college, Lake Forest College, suburb of Chicago. Really for the sake of leaving, or
Mhm.
in my mind, getting out of Arkansas.
Mhm.
And had I think I had every intention of, just staying in Chicago and,
Mm,
making it my home, and which would not be unusual. I mean, you think about the thousands and tens of thousands of folks who left Arkansas and went
mhm,
to Chicago. And, at that time, John Stroger, who was the Cook County commissioner, from Wynne, Arkansas,
mm,
Danny Davis, congressman from one of the districts in Chicago, from Parkdale, Arkansas, and
mm.
various other, you know, there even is an Arkansas reunion in Chicago that up into the '80s would draw 10,000 people.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah, and so I mean, like,
Oh.
like I say, I would just been following the same stream as a lot of other folks, but so yeah, yeah. I mean, there were opportunities that arose to live in other places, but you know, fortunately, I good sense prevailed.
So after college, you came back?
No,
Okay.
not for a little while. I did a graduate program in Madison, Wisconsin,
Oh.
and seminary in Chicago. Taught
Mm,
school for a couple of years in Chicago. Um, which of course is very different from being in a suburban, living on a suburban campus
mm,
for college, and then kind of moving to
mhm,
moving to Hyde Park, which was really exciting and
mm.
vibrant, and University of Chicago was there, and I was young, and um, but as with a lot of things, in youth, things go from exciting to not necessarily viable after a while. So
Mm,
yeah.
mhm. So why did you come back?
Uh, I wish I could say I came back for this great, awesome opportunity, but I came back because I was working for Third World Press. Side note: Third World Press was founded and run by Hakeem Mataboud, who is a native of Little Rock. Although he only lived here a few years, was born and was here, just as a small child before he was raised in Detroit. But I was working for Third World Press. Um, come out of teaching, worked for Third World Press while I was doing seminary, and um, that went from being a day-to-day job to being contract work, and so obviously it's less money,
Mm,
and it's just uh, fortunately had a landing pad back home. So
okay.
yeah,
Yeah. And that's actually interesting because some other people I've talked to about who've come back, it has been because of really living in places that got too expensive and and during the pandemic and it wasn't viable. So
yeah,
nice to have a place to come home to. But then when you ended up staying for how
I
many
did.
years have you
I
lived here
did.
now?
It's what is it, since 2006.
Okay. So a little
So
while.
yeah, just a little bit. Just no, no,
Yeah.
no. 2005. 2005.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, 2005.
Yeah. And do you think, I know, we can't tell the future, but do you think you'll stay for the long haul?
Yeah, hmm
Yeah.
no doubt in my mind. I mean, like I can't think of really anything that would like pry me away from here.
Mm,
Uh, you know, yeah, and I know there are folks who leave for finite opportunities where they say, I'm going to go and do this particular thing for two
mhm,
years, and what I'm saying. I wouldn't scoff at something like that, but I mean, what I'm saying. I would not ever not have for the rest of my life. I have an address in Arkansas. I mean, my
mhm.
permanent address will be here. So yeah.
So, what do you like most about living in Arkansas? What keeps you?
Uh, there's just this kind of a filial connection to home in general that
Mhm,
kind of makes a person stay somewhere.
mhm,
But it's comfortable. You
mm,
know, personally comfortable. I mean, I do want to acknowledge that for a lot of folks, this is maybe not a comfortable place, and I
mm,
understand that for sure,
mm,
and for very good reason. Um, but that presents for those of us who are comfortable an opportunity
mhm,
uh, to afflict comfortable people and to comfort afflicted people.
mhm,
And Arkansas has a very rich cultural history that I appreciate. That
mm,
I don't know that I appreciated as much when I was younger. Um, you know, Arkansas, even among southern states, has kind of had this kind of stepchild
Mm,
um, thing. I mean, there's some readily identifiable things that we can say about, say like a state like Georgia or Texas or
mm,
Louisiana. But we forget that in Arkansas there is a very particular culture, even when that culture is hybrid, hybrid of our neighbors. But
mhm,
there's a very particular culture in Arkansas, and so I mean, um, I love the familiarity, being able to,
mhm,
doing church work. I've been, all over the state too, and just seeing, some of the commonalities among people from disparate parts of the state.
mhm,
So I love the people. I love, even though I am not happy about the things that precipitate these opportunities. I love the opportunity for progress that we have in Arkansas.
mm, mm,
Um, not the circumstances at all,
mm,
but
mhm,
certainly that there is, some opportunities.
mhm,
And I love the landscape. Arkansas is a beautiful place.
mhm,
And the more I see of other places, the more I realize that, not that other places are not beautiful, but Arkansas is uniquely beautiful.
mhm.
So
You talked a little bit about the commonalities of the people across the state. How would you describe Arkansans?
um, if this were about 10 years ago, I would still be able to say how politically independent Arkansans were.
Mm,
Not really so sure about that these days, but um, I love how even the most erudite folks in Arkansas, without putting on or without trying to be a particular way, can also be very common folk. Uh,
mm,
you know, um, that people are not too proud to eat brown beans and cornbread for dinner,
mhm,
and just, you know, in many ways radically independent,
mm,
resourceful for sure.
mm,
Um, you know, um, I've not been to many places in Arkansas where I can say that people were unkind. The people were unkind. I mean, very kind folks.
mhm,
Um, you know, just I think you probably hear that a lot about places in the South in general. But I think there's a uniqueness to how how Arkansans express themselves, and you know what I'm saying. You still go to some of these towns, and whether you know the folks or not, if you drive past the house, everybody on the porch is gonna wave to you.
right,
And
right.
Arkansas has some of the best gas station food in the country. There's a gas station on the way to Fayetteville. I've only been once, and I can't remember exactly where it is. And I need to where they have a Indian food buffet.
What?
Yeah,
I
and
gotta find this
it is
gas
legit.
station.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna ask I was riding with the person.
Okay, you let me know because
Yeah,
I feel like I need to know where that is.
yeah, it is. And at first I was kind of like, I'm not really about to eat Indian food out of a gas station, but I went in and I smelled it, and then I got closer and I saw it, and what I'm saying, I had to at least get some samosas and
Yes,
you know,
yes. Well,
but
that's great. That's great. Ryan, last question. What are your hopes for Arkansas moving forward?
my hope is that we don't have to hit rock bottom before we realize, what we've done. That we have, in an attempt to live out some sort of political ideology, that we've counted people out.
Mm,
I hope we don't have to hit rock bottom, um, to realize that divesting from our educational system does not help most people in the state.
mm, mhm,
That we don't have to hit rock bottom before we understand that divesting from rural hospitals and rural clinics, by way of restricting Medicaid, is a dangerous road to travel. I hope that we see that pendulum swift swing back, because you know, ultimately, Arkansans have proved themselves to be independent, and just in our history, it's unfortunately come about when we realize that we're going down the wrong path. And
mm,
I know that there are some of the political happenings in this state are a result of craven interest in power
mm,
and national recognition, and then as a corollary, an interest in not and not bucking up against powerful persons, but um, a common denominator in all 75 counties in this state are high levels of poverty, high levels of undereducation, and um, you know that is, again, not something we're happy about, but it is something that we need to coalesce around.
Mm,
That we can get more folks engaged. Um, Arkansas is still a state where the Southern Tenant Farmers Union, a multiracial coalition of farmers, was founded and came together.
mm,
Arkansas is still a state that cultivated blues music right alongside bluegrass music.
mm,
So, Arkansas is still a state where, its legislature well, during Reconstruction was one of the first to insist on universal public education. So
mm,
we certainly have the history,
mm,
what I'm saying? And so that history is in our bones. And so I hope that we really tap into that history. We stop believing in this idea of scarcity, that we
mm,
realize that, we have riches in this state abundant enough for everybody.
mm,
Everybody can eat, everybody can go to school, everybody can live and thrive, and that we stop identifying folks by morals internal to our household,
mm,
and that we stop valuing folks by, we stop determining that the only people who can eat are the people who are contributing to the labor market.
mm,
I think a lot of these politics are propelled by, um, this idea that people are evil, this very Hobbesian idea of all people being evil, and then a corollary idea of there not being enough.
mm,
When I was growing up, Arkansas was the land of opportunity, and I wonder why they changed it to the natural. I mean, I think natural state is apropos, if you think about it. But I wonder though why it was changed from the land of opportunity, and if it was because people felt like it belied, a certain lie about the state, that those opportunities didn't exist. But I
mm,
think those opportunities do exist, and I'm seeing it more and more, and it's really encouraging. You
mm,
know, the amount of young folks who are choosing to stay here, the amount of folks who are building families of every kind and
mhm,
every denomination here.
mhm.
And so, you know, I just hope we can coalesce around all those good things. There's enough for everybody.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for taking the time to chat with me about why you call Arkansas home. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.